Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I wanted to get into my top pick for affordable Greek coins. I'll be starting out at around the $50 mark, and I'll go all the way to the $500 mark, which is about the maximum for what most people are willing to pay for a single coin. The higher the price, the more difficult it will be for me to pick a single coin, as the options greatly widen. With all that said, let's get straight into it. For spending around $50, I would honestly just go for the highest quality bronze that I could find, or get a coin from a ruler that I find interesting. I'll look at V coins or MA shops. Do not buy from other places like Amazon or eBay, as you can get easily scammed unless you know exactly what you're doing. I'd also recommend avoiding auction houses at this price point, as the buyer's premium and shipping can easily double or even triple on what you'll be spending. Also, when you're buying, check out where the coin will be shipping from, because if it's from a seller that isn't from your country, then the shipping will be extremely expensive. Now, with all that out of the way, I'll show you some options for around $50. There are plenty of Hellenistic bronze pieces you can find, and my top pick would be this Alexander Balas bronze piece. It is only $40 and has a pretty interesting history. The Seleucid Kingdom is one of the many kingdoms that formed after Alexander the Great's death, and Alexander Balas was an usurper who managed to successfully usurp the throne from Demetrius I Soter. And there was a lot of turmoil at this time for the Seleucids, and it was an interesting piece of history. This coin is actually in pretty good condition. You can clearly see the bust of Alexander, and the reverse has Apollo holding the arrow in his bow with the titles Basileos Alexandros written in Greek. It's around 19 millimeters in diameter and weighs about 1.75 grams, which is around the same size as a dram, but it weighs more. So the coin isn't absolutely tiny. Speaking of tiny, my runner-up is this Kyzicus Obol. It's pretty cool that you can get silver at this price point. It actually has a ton of detail for only being 12 millimeters in diameter and a tiny 0.75 grams. The obverse has the front half of a boar, and somewhere there should be a tunny fish, which is the symbol that all Kyzicus coins have, and the reverse has the head of a lion, which is actually stylistically good looking. I actually really like this coin. Both of these animals symbolize power. A boar is actually a pretty mean animal, which is known to charge if provoked, and a lion is a symbol of power and authority, being one of the top predators in the animal kingdom. If you don't mind the size of this coin, then this is a pretty decent option. Let's move on to the $100 price point. I'd still avoid auction houses, as I can't justify spending the additional 20% buyer's premium to make it worth it. And my top pick that I saw is this Indo-Scythian tetradrachm of Aziz I. Even though this is not technically a Greek coin by the literal sense, since the Indo-Scythians created it, but still considered Greek, as Aziz used the Greek style, alphabet, and denomination. This coin is still for sale, and it's only $85, and it's 24 millimeters in diameter and 9.5 grams, and it's silver. What made me choose this is the fact that you can buy a tetradrachm at this price point, which is actually pretty incredible. I personally do not know a lot about Aziz. I just know that the Scythians were a nomadic people who ended up taking over the crumbling kingdoms of both Bactria and India. And when I tried to do some quick research about him, there wasn't a whole lot of information on it. This coin could be an opportunity for yourself to do some research and maybe start to fall in love with this type of coinage. And the runner-up for this category is the Euboea Tetra Obol. It's a tiny bit smaller than the dram at 14 millimeters and 2.4 grams, but it's not insanely small. What I liked about this coin is that it shows the stern of a ship, which I find super cool in ancient coinage. Unfortunately, I don't know too much about this coin, so if you know more about it than me, please leave a comment. For the $200 price point, you can buy from both retail and auction houses, as a lot more options start to open up. If you're looking to buy from auctions, just remember the buyer's premium like I said earlier. I did some digging around in previous auctions, and I found a few that are worth mentioning. The first would be this Alexander the Great dram. There are a ton of these on the market, and you can find them as cheap as the low $100-ish mark on up. The one I am showing you now hammered for $160. This coin is actually in pretty good shape with a ton of detail on both sides. When you spend more money, I would typically lean towards nicer quality coins unless something like rarity or historical importance is more important to you. As for this coin type, Alexander needs no introduction, as he is one of the big names in history and one of the best military commanders that ever existed. Unfortunately, the drams do not have as much style variation as the bigger tetradrams, but that shouldn't stop you from getting one of these as they are that great. Next up is this Neapolis Nomos, which is a little flawed, like you see a bit of wear and pitting, but you can clearly see both sides of the coin, even the eyes on the bust of Artemis. What I like about the Nomos, which is essentially also can be named as a diadram or silver stater depending on the place and time, as it is the size of a dram but twice the weight, so they're quite thick. I find these Magna Graecia coins very interesting as they can be pretty unique looking, like this interesting hybrid of a bull with a man's head. All I know that this is some sort of river god associated with the city. I find it pretty weird looking, but also pretty interesting. If you know more about this, please leave a comment. And also, I'm curious to know why Nike is involved. Is it crowning the bull? Please leave a comment. The last coin I'll mention for the $200 marker is a bronze, as I want to show you what a higher quality one would look like. This is a piece from the famous city of Syracuse, which has produced some of the most beautiful and sought-after coinage ever. This coin has quite a bit of detail. It is slightly larger than the Nomos at 21 millimeters and almost 8 grams. I really like the wing thunderbolt on the reverse as well. I will admit I'm quite picky on my bronze coins because I'm actually not a huge fan of really dark brown bronze because it can be really hard to see the detail on the coin. But this one has some lighter highlights where I think it gets a pass. Let's move on to the $300 price point. Your options increase more and more, and I picked out 3 coins that sold recently that I thought are good picks. The first is this Ptolemy piece. This one specifically is a bronze dram, which sold for $275. It's a pretty big piece that is 41.5 millimeters in diameter and 68 grams. The obverse is Zeus Ammon, a hybrid deity of the Egyptian god Ammon, which is typically a ram, and of course Zeus. You can see the ram's horn clearly in this one, which is nice because a lot of them are darker color and has enough wear on it where it's hard to see. The reverse has the eagle on it, standing on a thunderbolt with the words Basileus Ptolemy on it. I absolutely love these pieces, and they're quite abundant, so I always highly recommend them. The first runner-up is the Halicarnassus dram. I just want to mention that what I love about Greek coins is that the 3/4 facing portraits are relatively common, which screams classical art. And a lot of the facing portraits can look a little goofy, but the ones from Halicarnassus are usually pretty well done like this one. The obverse is Apollo with his flowing wavy hair, and the eyes on this specific coin look good as well. And the reverse is actually Zeus holding his scepter and a labrys, which I hope I am pronouncing correctly, which is a double-headed axe. I believe this piece is the Rhodian standard, so it's a tiny bit smaller than the Attic dram. This piece is 14 millimeter and 3.46 grams, so it's small, but the fact that this much artwork is fantastically detailed on this coin is what makes it so cool. The second runner-up is this Naxos Litra. If you do not mind tiny coins, this piece sold for $250 and is fantastic because these can go for thousands in excellent condition. The obverse is Dionysus, and the reverse is a vine of grapes. This is an archaic coin, so it has that archaic style to it, like the pointy face, beard, and eyes. This coin in particular is chipped, but like I said, it allows you to get a famous coin for a cheap price. And if you love archaic coins, this is an amazing budget option. Moving on to the $400 price point, you start to see the tetradrachm market start to become more and more abundant. One such is the Alexander the Great tetradrachms. You can find them cheaper, but I really think you are compromising on quality. And around this price point, you start to see much better looking ones with less issues like wear, corrosion, pitting, etc. The one you're seeing now isn't the most stylistically pleasing one, but it's a huge upgrade compared to the ones that you see that are cheaper than this. This one hammered for $350, so even below $400 you can snag one of these up. I think this is one of those must-have coins in a Greek silver collection, as there are so many die types you can basically find one that you think looks the best for the price. And the first runner-up is this Espendo Stater. This one in particular hammered for $375, and you can typically find them in better condition than this one. And there are a ton of these available with different mint marks. And this is a very rare type as the wrestlers are doing a different pose, and this one in particular has one of them grabbing the other's calf. When you spend enough time looking at certain coins, you can sometimes find these differences that can make the coin stand out compared to the rest of them. Whoever bought this coin scored a huge win because the rarer die types would typically go for significantly more than the regular typical types. Even if you can't find a special one like this, you can still find some with some interesting mint marks, which makes it seem special in its own way. Regardless, these coins are great to own, and that is why I put it on this list. And the second runner-up would be this Ephesus Dram. This one in particular sold for $375, which I would say is a normal price. The one you see now has some wear and issues, but is clearly all there and is still decent condition. I know this is a dram, but the tetradrachms can go for significantly more than the drams, and you still get the same style. I absolutely love these. One of my favorite things about Greek coins is the vast variety of different types, especially the older, classical, so it's super rare to get bored of seeing the same style over and over. I always found these coins to be really cool, and I've yet to own one, but one day I'll add one to my collection. And if you love animals or just unique looking coins like this, then these coins deserve to be on this list. Let's finish up with the $500 mark. This price point, in my opinion, is the bread and butter of Greek silver because you have so many options. This allows you to get some decent pieces that you would normally not be able to unless you are heavily compromising or find rare bargains. One such piece is the famous Athens tetradrachm. You can find these for cheaper than the one you see now hammered for $425. But any cheaper, you'll run into heavily worn pieces or have some sort of major issue. At the $500 mark, I think you can score a decent looking owl, and the best part is that you can find them readily for that price, so no need to wait a long time to find the perfect score. This and the Alexander tetradrachms are the staple of Greek coinage, so if you want a famous coin, you can't go wrong with either of these pieces at this price point. The first runner-up is a silver Lydian piece of your desired denomination, and the one you see now is a sigilos, so it's not the normal silver stater or hectae and their sub-denominations. These are interesting as it's the early coinage and the first type of coins that strayed away from electrum, thus creating the first diverse metal coinage in existence. So if you want some really cool early coinage, this is a good choice. The last and final coin that I'm recommending is the Thasos tetradrachm. I had a hard time choosing a final coin, but these are so abundant, like the Athens and Alexander tetradrachms, that you can pick your favorite die type. I think with choices like that, it makes the hunt a lot more enjoyable, and that is why I picked this coin. So I thought making this video was going to be a lot easier, but finding and choosing a broad range of Greek coins was a lot harder than I thought. I know I am biased towards Hellenistic coins, so I tried to add some different types of pieces to give it some flavor, but there's so much variety in Greek coinage in general. With all that said, I'll end it on that note. Leave a comment down below on some coins you recommend, because I'm curious on your guys' thoughts. Alright guys, take care and see you in the next video.